What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Retro Hoop Collectibles. This is our weekly PSA update on how many cards they graded the previous week. If you're new to the channel and you're stopping by for the first time, I do this every week. Every week we pull how many cards PSA graded. We look over the data. We take a look at anything funky and go over kind of the big talking points for the data. So I pull the information every Sunday. I try to pull it every Sunday night. Sometimes it's Sunday late night. Sometimes it's like super early Monday morning, but it's always right around that time frame. And then I chart it, compare it to the previous week, look at the delta, and then we come up with a figure on how many cards were graded, or in this case, how many cards were added to the population report. And then we just kind of go from there and talk about that information. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, all that good stuff. Follow me on Instagram at Retro Hoop Breaks. Yeah, a lot of content. So I do at least three videos a week, no matter what, including this one. And sometimes there's up to 5 or 6 videos a week, depending on how busy of a hobby news week there is. And then I do box breaks and vintage box breaks, and I go over vintage cards and stuff like that. So if you're inclined to that kind of info, hit the subscribe button and come hang out with us when you get a chance. I also do live streams almost every Sunday. Some Sundays I don't get to it, but we do live streams every Sunday. And then I do the occasional live stream on either a Thursday, watching Thursday Night Football, or Monday Night Football, either one. But either way it goes. Love for you to subscribe and come hang out. So yeah, let's jump into the data for this week, which was a low week for PSA, coming off of a big week, coming off of the second biggest week that they've ever had. The first biggest being here at the 210. I guess respectable week numbers wise. I mean, we're getting to this point to where we're expecting them. Their average is up in the 170, almost 180 a week, which is pretty much on pace. I'm really curious to see what it's going to be over the next 2 weeks. Obviously, we got Christmas holidays coming up. Then we got the New Year's holiday coming up. A lot of talk on this new variant for COVID being highly contagious. So I'm assuming, there's going to be some interruptions there if things don't get under control. Yeah, so I don't know. The next, I think, so what it's going to be the 20. So this week, next week, and potentially even the week after. Very curious for the next 3 weeks to see what kind of numbers they're going to put up. And then going forward into the new year, if we, again, don't have much interruption from the corona and from the pandemic, see what kind of numbers we're going to start putting out going forward. But it's still kind of pretty consistent, though. The big dog this week, even though the overall number is low, the big number this week continues to be TCG. Somebody mentioned, I think it was my boy Marvelous Packs on Instagram, that had mentioned, about a year ago, this would have been roughly when the whole craze for Pokemon cards popped up again. And people were kind of really getting into Pokemon cards again and submitting and, chasing the big cards and stuff like that. So a lot of Charizard submission, a lot of, not just Charizard, TCG card submissions, Pokemon submissions. I keep having to remind myself that TCG isn't just Pokemon. It's, Magic the Gathering, it's Yu-Gi-Oh, it's, I think that's really just those 3, right? You guys correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but those are the main ones. But I mean, let's face it, it's mainly Pokemon, right? So they had a pretty big resurgence about a year ago, and PSA is about a year behind on submission dates and stuff. So it makes sense. Somebody mentioned to me the other day that they received back their shipment of cards that they submitted or that got checked in February. So that's right around the same time that my cards got checked in. I think my cards got checked in March, if I'm not mistaken. So we're kind of getting close to the to the time frame in which my cards were checked in. My 386 Fleer Hakeem Olajuwons were right around that time frame. So I really would like to be able to say that it didn't take PSA a year to get me my cards back, but that's kind of what it's starting to look like. But I could be wrong. January 28th, I think, was the date that I had said that my cards were received at PSA, and that's when I'm starting the clock. So it's coming up on a year. It's coming up on a birthday. But again, TCG being the top dog in terms of numbers, which makes sense now historically based on what was happening with the waves of popularity of Pokemon coming through. And then, of course, always followed by basketball, always followed by baseball, and then football, the very next one after that. And then it's really just a pretty big gap from there between football and the next biggest one, which is soccer. So football is 26,000 cards added to the pop report. And then the very next one down was soccer at 4,600. But soccer has seen a bit of a jump here recently as well. When we first started this, soccer was not more than 7,000, 6,000. Well, I guess soccer's always kind of been hovering there. Soccer's always kind of been the top dog. Anyway, not the top dog, but the next big one outside of the top three: football, baseball, basketball. So yeah, 173,000 is what I got in terms of the number for this week. But one thing that I did do is I went ahead and updated this chart here. Let me shrink myself down a little bit so you guys can see what's going on here. What is that there? There we go. Okay, shrink myself down a little bit there. So I went ahead and put together this chart, which is just a culmination of the entire year's worth of data that I put together. And it's a pretty interesting picture, I think. I started it back in April, and we can see, 111,603 is the first number that I ever calculated, the first number that I ever pulled. To go from there to a top number of 210,000, essentially doubling their output within a matter of 7 months, pretty much doubling their output. A couple of notable big drops. The week of the National seemed to have pulled away quite a bit of resources from PSA. I know a lot of you were pretty pissed off about that. Whenever that happened, they had announced that they were going to be taking grading capacity over to the National to have cards graded. 132,000 all the way from 186. We were on a pretty good trajectory here to really hit this peak number probably right around August, right? This peak number of 190, 200,000 in August, had it not been for them having to take away from the National. And then the next big drop was here, which I still can't really explain that one. I really don't know why there was such a big drop from 191,000 all the way down to here. If I remember correctly, I think I looked at some of this is back when I was looking at complete through dates. We know now that they don't mean anything, but we did see a significant movement in the complete through dates for re-slabs and reholdering. So that may have had an impact there. They probably just took out a big chunk of that. But then obviously we reached just a peak number of 210,000 just recently, right before the Thanksgiving holiday. And then obviously the week of Thanksgiving, a significant drop from 210 to 120. So again, these two big drops there, kind of expected, right? You kind of know what's coming. But it's still cool to see it just in this fashion, right? Where you're looking at, an entire, almost a year's worth of data, probably closer to 9 months worth of data, put out into a chart like this. I like seeing data like this. This is how I prefer to see data, charting it and trending it and going, hey, what happened here and what happened there, because these are some pretty significant drops in the outputs. But anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. Just been putting some data together and doing all that stuff. So again, 179,000 for this week, 177,000 6-week average. So it's pretty on par. I think we'll probably see some leveling out right around there, the 185,000 average, moving 6-week average, which is impressive. I mean, I've said this several times before. I am thoroughly impressed from a capacity standpoint for them to be able to double their output within a 6-month period or 7-month period. However, it does seem like the quality of the grading has suffered, and the logistics have suffered and things like that. So a lot of things have suffered in the wake of growing this massive machine that PSA has put together over there to essentially crank out cards going forward. So we'll see what the future holds. Like I said, I'm really interested in the next couple of weeks on how this is going to happen. I'm really curious to see the numbers either bounce up and down or stay the same. I don't know. Who knows? But that's going to do it for this update. Thank you guys for always watching, always hanging out. Let me know down in the comments if you have had big TCG orders come back for you recently, and if you have, how'd you do on them? What are you guys seeing in terms of the quality of grade? Those of you that are getting your cards back or that are potentially starting to see some of your grades online, are they on par with what you were expecting? Are they not? One of the things that I've really been interested in is people's idea of what they should have gotten versus what they got, right? I just did bench clear media with Ty a couple days ago. That video just released. But I was watching his SGC sub return, where it was, a bunch of 52 Mickey Mantles that he got back. And he was within a half a point of what he thought he was going to get versus what he got. So a half a point up or a half a point down. And then sometimes he was dead nuts. When I see something like that, that tells me that somebody who really looks at their cards, pays attention to what the condition is, and is realistic about what they're expecting back in terms of a grade. And then when they get that card back and it's within a half a grade, that seems to me like good quality grading. It's whenever you send a card off that you know for a fact is at least a 9. It could be an 8.5, maybe even an 8. Could be a 9.5, but it comes back a 6, and there's just no way. And we're seeing quite a bit of that with PSA. So even though the numbers going up is great, and it's great to see them build this massive machine that is able to get cards out in masses, we really need to make sure that the quality is there as well. So what do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comments. As always, I appreciate you guys watching every week. I appreciate you subscribing. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Love y'all. Peace.